we are going to cover on a story that's actually popped up in a lot of the papers this morning. Quite a concerning story. And that is data published by the Office for National Statistics has revealed that the number of babies born in England and Wales has dropped to the lowest total in over 20 years.
Yes, the stats also show that 30.3% of babies were born to non-UK mothers, foreign-born mothers, India, Pakistan, Romania. They're the top nationalities.
So what should we make of this? Well, we're joined now by the statistician and former ONS analyst, Jamie Jenkins. Jamie, thanks for making the time this morning. I suppose this is actually following a long-term trend. We haven't been at replacement birth rates since around the 1960s.
Yeah, good morning, guys. So I think what's the kind of consequences of these numbers? You're right, they're following a longer-term trend than what we're seeing. And if you look at other statistics that we see, so house prices is a good place to start, because what you tend to be finding now is more children are living longer with their parents because they can't move out of kind of the family home to kind of start a family themselves. So that kind of delays some of the kind of childs that would be born in the country. And if you look at 1997, the ratio of, say, the average house price to kind of earnings was about 3.5 in 1997. And in 2022, it's up to 8.2. So it's much, much less affordable now for people to get on the housing ladder. What that means is people have to save up longer, they're working longer. You know, women are kind of delaying having those children until kind of later in life, which means they tend to have fewer children. So you're right to point out, Tom, that the replacement fertility rate is 2.1. So you need basically 2.1 children for every couple to replace the kind of the population. But that's been down, is running at about 1.6 in the country. And it does have long-term implications of this, because if you think in 20 years' time, if you're getting fewer births now, you've got fewer people entering the labour force. And it's kind of why we've been seeing high levels of immigration in the country over recent years, is because the people have often been coming through because of fewer births over successive decades, and we need people to come in to do the jobs.
More babies than the British population when they come here. A record proportion of babies whose mothers were born outside the UK. So Brits aren't having babies, but those who have moved to this country are having no problem.
No, well, you've got to kind of look at the differences in terms of what we've got here. So you're right, 30.3% of people born kind of to mothers who were kind of born abroad overall. And it's coming to say India, Pakistan, Romania are kind of the top ones there. And it may be to do with the fact that fewer of these people are in the labour market. They may have their partners in the labour market. So there are a number of different dynamics at play there.
Yeah, that's very interesting indeed. Now, I saw in the Telegraph today something that shocked me, although we do hear it quite a lot. A certain professor, her name escapes me at this moment, but she's from Oxford University, I believe, has said falling birth rates in the West are a good thing for the world because we're high consuming. What do you make of that kind of narrative?
Well, absolutely bonkers. You know, it's all bringing everything back to this kind of net zero nonsense that's talked by a lot of people. You know, if we look at the United Kingdom, 1% of all the CO2 emissions in the United Kingdom from our global emissions. And ultimately, it's probably not just the kind of the number of births you see. And one of the things you can clearly relate to when you're looking at this data is, you know, the richest people. I think the individual there was talking about rich countries, but it's the richest people on the planet all over who kind of preach about, you know, we need to get down to net zero, who are the biggest polluters when you look at carbon emissions. So, you know, China continuing with the emissions at their kind of population, I think a bit further away from the mark in terms of the comments there.
Well, Jamie Jenkins, former ONS statistician, thank you so much for talking us through that issue there.
And I must just quickly say it was a Professor Sarah Harper, CBE, who said falling birth rates in the West are good for our planet because essentially we're the nasty ones who use too much energy.
I seem to remember that we're the fastest decarbonising G20 economy, but